Uh, so this is IO3, output number 3, where we are talking about the educational module. But let me first introduce my main partners here. And that is Ingrid Stenøyen from NTNU, and she is the contact person between, and or she's the project leader, I would say, in at NTNU of the huge project that called university schools. And then Bjørn Ivar Midjø, he is the principal of one of our university schools. And we are very happy to have been working together as a team. Then I also acknowledge all our good partners in the project, because when writing this and working on this document, we constantly send it to the partners to get feedback on it. And so we are certainly not the only authors of it. We have all been involved, and thank you very much for that. What we are talking about here in this module, it is first of all the aim, which was to develop a module of mentor education for university schools. And when we're talking about mentor education, we are talking about the teachers working in the schools with our student teachers. And the starting point that we started with, that is a module that has been implemented at NTNU. And we had some experience with it, which we could share with others. However, we also wanted and aimed to make this model relevant to our European partners and to Europe in general. So we used the Common European Framework here for ECTS courses and points, so it could get credits. And in the IO3 document, which you will find on our website, we also recognize the fact that what we have done in Norway cannot be copied and pasted onto or into other contexts. We are certainly aware of the fact that it has to be adapted. So if I continue here then a bit, then in this very brief presentation, I'll present 3 aspects of it. First of all, the purpose, the knowledge base, and the educational module. And here the purpose, as I've already said, was to develop an educational model designed to meet the need for specialized knowledge in university schools. Because we think that if a university school is going to be different from other practice schools, there has to be some kind of a specialized knowledge that they have to have. The other thing is that we also believe that there has to be some kind of a theoretical backdrop in terms of previous research and a theoretical foundation for what we are doing. And we also enjoyed experience and worked on experience from various partnerships based on what we heard in the project, but also from other colleagues we have nationally and internationally. And then when we developed and finalized the educational module, we were fully aware of the fact that we had to show a flexibility, so the model can be enabled to work in a different context. And that is the reason why we use the European Qualification Framework. So I go on from here and then talk a bit about the backdrop. What we know these days is that there is a great tension in international teacher education. Many push for what we call the practice turn. And that means that there are several contexts, including countries like England. And I'm talking about England and not UK in general. Most of the teacher education takes place in schools. So there's a heavy pressure to become a more practice-oriented in teacher education. But on the other hand, there's also some countries, and there are lots of people who push for the academization of teacher education. And this is a tension going on that we just have to be aware of. There is political pressure to create partnerships between the academy and the practice field. This we find in EU documents and also in Norwegian steering documents. And I've just taken a statement from Norwegian White Paper 11, which was published already in 2008 and 2009, where it says that all teacher education programs shall establish partnership with schools, including preschools, to qualify student teachers, the practicum, and the professional, and to support the professional development of teachers. So here you have both aims: improve teacher education, strengthen teacher education, but also to support the professional development of in-service teachers. We also have to acknowledge, when we're talking about the backdrop, that teacher universities and schools, we have different goals. The schools, they teach children, whereas our job at university is to teach adults. However, I think that jointly we have a shared goal, and that is to improve education. And then we also went in and studied the criteria for partnerships, which we can find in Sandholt's work, which are equality, mutual trust, long-term commitment, etc. So it's the power balance in these partnerships is not only to the benefit of the university, but also to the schools. And then another backdrop that we wanted, that was the competence building. And we looked at what does really competence building mean. First of all, we looked at Hanle Nimes, and very happy and proud to have her with us today. Her work already from 2002, where she stated that the practicum is an essential component in teacher education. So it has to be a good quality. And I have claimed that I think teacher education is a career-long education. And that means you don't finish learning when you finish being, or when you qualify as a teacher after initial teacher education, you go on learning. And part of that learning as an in-service teacher is learning to become mentors. And internationally now we are using very often the concept school-based teacher educators, because when they are working with student teachers, they are teacher educators. And I have claimed that this is a profession within a profession. Their profession is teaching and teaching children. However, they are also teacher educators, which is a different type of work they are doing. And we also have to recognize that teachers, student teachers, need access to different types of expertise, not only our theoretical expertise at university. And that means mutual learning should take place in the third space, which we have already heard here, where the triad of university lecturers, school teachers, and students meet. And I'll come back to that. And there are three key words as we see it: respect, trust, and dedication. So if you look at the differences between teaching children and teaching adults, I have made a table here in the publication, which you can have a look at. And I don't need to go into details about it now. But I think that we have to go look at number 3, the theoretical foundation. We are talking about pedagogy very often when we are talking about children, but we are talking about andragogy when we are talking about teaching adults. And I think this difference is a very important difference that we should keep in mind. You will probably get told of the slides, and it's also in the document. So when we are talking about the third space, it does not mean that universities are going to be only practical. Neither does it mean that schools shall be only theoretical, and that we will have different types of expertise, and that we should keep. However, as you can see here, there is a third space, and that is where the university schools come in. And in the third space, it is important that different types of expertise meet. It is important that the experience is shared. It's important that we understand that we need to learn from each other so we can develop a shared language. And that is the key word. And also to developing shared, as we've heard about, research and development projects, and not least to develop shared assessment criteria. How is the practicum going to be assessed? This is the model that we propose. And as you can see, I'm sorry for the small script here, but this is a model that follows the European model of what is needed, the knowledge areas, learning, etc. We think the course should be at the master level, and we think that it should be credited with 15 ECTS. So you can see here we are talking about very knowledge areas, learning output skills, learning outputs general competence, working methods, and assessment. This you will also find in the document, so I will not take time to go into and discuss each and every one here deeply. But this is a general model that we think can be adapted to various settings. And as we have already heard, Anne said, we are fully aware that no size fits all. Nowhere is Europe is big, Norway is small. Europe is big, and we have different contexts. And I think in everything in education, if we try just to copy and paste ideas, forms, plans we are working on from one context to another, we are up to fail. However, if we have a common framework that we can work on and adapt this to the various settings, then I think that that is what we have. And that is what we have tried to do in IO3. You will also see in IO3 that we have collected examples from all the partner institutions, how they would adapt the general model that we have presented in the document. So there you will find examples. So just to add, to complete with some recommendations. First of all, we think it is important to create third spaces areas, not losing our profile and who we are, but still create third spaces areas where we can work together. And there we have to allow for renegotiation and contextualization when implementing the EdUSchool models. So this has to be discussed. I don't think it should be the university that decides it. I think we have to discuss it with our partners. And also that the educational module is based on the integration of the knowledge areas of mentoring, research and development, and school development. And this integration is reflected in all aspects of the models, in the goals, in the working methods, and in the syllabus that are developed in the various spaces. And then finally, we have to develop a contextualized educational model for teachers and leaders at the university school. And that is my final word. I think we also have to work on the fact that leaders should be involved and they are part of the university school project. So thank you very much.